Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Tuesday. This is Devils After Dark, coming to you live from the Primetime Radio studios in beautiful New Jersey. In the bunker tonight. No Scotty a Sirius XM Liquid Metal. Going solo, flying solo. There's a live look at American whiskey right now. I'm your host, Sam Wu. Streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network. Oh, what a bad game tonight. Another hard loss for the New Jersey Devils, 2 in a row. At the hands of the Dallas Stars. We'll go over the recap a little bit later, some analysis. But I'm seeing a lot of comments on the YouTube Live coming through. Some fans are not too happy. Some fans are being sarcastic. But the fans at American Whiskey are all enjoying a beer right now. But some bad trends are coming back. But that's okay. We will go over and do the Unhappy Devils recap. Devils, Stars, both teams, elite teams in their respective conferences. Dallas Stars doing very well this season, led by Peter DeBoer. Remember that name. Peter DeBoer led the Devils to the Stanley Cup Finals back in 2012. Seems like that guy keeps on bouncing around a little bit. And he seems to be, has a shelf life between 2 to 3 years. Maybe 3 to 4 years between teams. But that first year is always a good one for Peter DeBoer. And the Dallas Stars looked pretty good in the first period. Pretty much even. Devils, had their chances. But Dallas equal to the task. And, I thought Wedgewood and Akira Schmid played very well in the first period. And but there wasn't many shots on goal. Devils had 6. Dallas had 5 in the first period. No scoring, just a chess match. And it just went back and forth. And then we'll go to the second period. And, the Devils started out pretty well in the second period, but they got caught with Delandra. That shot on goal from Suter. 5th goal of the season. Devils down 1-0, 6:03 in the second period. A tip-in shot. But I think that whole play, we talk about the beefalytics. We talk about having the big guys laying a big hit. Before that sequence, Marchment laid out Ryan Graves. I mean, almost decapitated him. And that got things started. And again, sometimes the energy guys, the energy lines, they make a big difference in the game. It's a game about momentum. That's what hockey is. And you just could feel it, whether you were at the game or watching it on TV, that you could actually feel it. That was a big hit. And this next sequence of plays, the Dallas Stars held the puck in, was able to score. 1-0 Dallas. 6:03 into the second period. But shortly after, the Devils, a team that responds, and respond that they did, and Bryce Salvador pointed it out that during that stretch, it was the guys that were out there, Miles Wood, Sharon Govich, Kevin Ball, they responded back about 2 minutes, just under 2 minutes later. Miles Wood goal to tie it up 1-1, 7:55 in the second period. almost in the same fashion, a tip-in goal past Scott Wedgewood, who, by the way, both Schmid and Wedgewood made outstanding saves in the second period, keeping their team in it to win it. But I'll tell you what, and we're going to go over this a little bit later, but it's about, hey, Peyton, how are you, Peyton? How are you? Yeah, she's waving at the camera at American Whiskey. I don't know what she's saying, but eventually we're going to get microphones. We're going to definitely get microphones at American Whiskey. Max in the YouTube Live says Marchman broke Graves' stick, knocked his helmet off. It was a big hit. It was a huge hit. It was definitely a huge hit. But I think the dagger right here was with less than a couple seconds left. Dallas scores the go-ahead goal, which eventually became the game winner. Hintz just on the backhand, and I mean, that just deflated the Devils there, and Devils down 2-1 going into the second intermission. And again, exactly right, Max. Another late goal. And these bad trends are happening again. In intermission, Lindy Ruff changing up the plans, shaking up the lines again, trying to spark some energy. And the Devils came out great in the third period. I mean, they came out great in the third period. The first probably 7 minutes, the Devils were out playing Dallas. But Dallas kept, they kept at it. They kept at it. But eventually, towards the end there, Lindell scores the empty netter. Same with Marchment. To bury the game, Dallas wins 4-1. Stars of the game, first start, Scott Wedgewood, making 35 saves. As what Scotty would say is raining pucks, as the Devils had 36 shots on goal. They would have 37, but Eric Holla couldn't tender a goal there after the whistle blew. Early whistle. Oh, actually, it wasn't a quick whistle. They just the refs simply lost track of the puck. Face-offs. Dallas 56% to Devils 43.8. Dallas 0 for 1 on the power play. Devils 0 for 2. Had some good chances. Dallas out hitting the Devils 19-9. Block is a lot of block shots, 23-15. Devils had more giveaways, 9-6. Dallas was 6-1 advantage in takeaways. Not good. Devils finished the game with 36 shots on goal. Dallas with 32. Ramona Rice is reiterating going back to them bad habits. Ramona Rice from Kentucky, and also stating that Holla had 29 goals last season. Hey, you know what? I haven't done these recaps in a long time, and it's kind of different when Scotty does it. But that was my short and sweet Unhappy Devils recap. Just looking at YouTube Live, Twitter Live, Twitch, Facebook Live. Want to hear your thoughts, comments of tonight's game. Wyatt Horning says face-offs are becoming a problem. He sure has been bad the last few games. Supernova 68 says, want to switch it up at coach before it gets out of hand. LOL. I think that's a little too premature for that. Look, Devils lost outright tonight. Last night, I mean, this is a second half of a back-to-back, not making any kind of excuses. But again, no spark. No spark. But they did have their chances. I mean, you have to give credit where credit's due. Dallas Stars played a heck of a game, laying out 19 hits, 23 blocks shots, 23. You combine that with 36 shots on goal. The Devils did put on the pressure. But again, they got exposed. How was the fourth line tonight? Making his his season debut with the Devils, Andreas Johnson, also known on the podcast as Andre Johnson. And I don't think he was effective at all. Boquist had a couple nice sequences there. But I thought that Miles Wood and Mikey McLeod, I thought they played very, very well tonight. Also thought Sharangovich did as well. Jack Hughes was kept off the score sheet. Jesper Bratt, I thought Bratt had a very good game. Driving to the net. Just driving to the net. And I think, I think the Devils need to get back to, again, it's one of these things, but they need to keep putting the puck on net, driving to the net. And Scott Wedgewood played a heck of a game. And so did Schmid. I mean, some of the saves that Schmid was making off of his blocker, point-blank range, some of them he got lucky, crossbar, post, whatever. Kevin Ball, again, I thought he did all right. Wyatt says take to Tar. Top off line. You're writing gibberish, Wyatt, on the YouTube Live anyway. Anthony says the Devils need size enforcer-type players to go along with the skills of the guys we have. Also, Palat can't come back fast enough for me. Here's where his experience is going to be valuable. Maybe so. Maybe so, but this group needs to figure it out. Right now, they're cooling off. It's expected. You couldn't expect that the Devils would be streaking the entire season. Mateo said Nico and Hughes had off nights today. Yeah, I think after last night against the Rangers, I think those two were kind of spent. You kind of tell they didn't have the pep to their step. But this is a brutal stretch. The 30-day challenge that I wrote on HockeyBuzz.com. The 30-day challenge starting with the Islanders, losing 6-4, forcing Jack Hughes to take a 6-minute shift, losing in the Rangers in overtime at Madison Square Garden when you had a 3-1 lead. Could have buried it. It could have made it 4-1. But the Devils, again, late period goals are hurting them. Started in Nashville. Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. Against Nashville. Late period flurry. Losing in overtime. Against the Islanders. Trying to come back. Fell short. Against the Rangers, again, had a 3-1 lead. And the 7-second BS again, where the Devils, the Rangers made it 3-2. Then 7 seconds later, the Rangers score again. Talk about momentum shift. But right now, let's put things into perspective. This is why you win these games in October and November. So you have a padded lead in the division because those games are going to come in handy down the stretch, a stretch run for playoff positioning. Right now, I don't think there is any need for panic with the New Jersey Devils, but I think there's some concerns. I don't think it's a coincidence that Nathan Bastian gets hurt and suddenly the dominoes start to fall. Nathan Bastian brings that toughness, screening the goalie, and he's a pretty good player. He may not be the flashiest, but he's a pretty good player. Second-round pick back, I think, in 2016. Max says, like I said before the game, it's concerning, but the Devils are 21-6-2. We have arrived from the past 10 years of misery. Ramona says, but Sam, these look bad. You're going to go through these stretches, Ramona. This is a brutal stretch. Friday night, there was no excuse. Monday, no excuse. You had the Rangers on the ropes there in the second period. Couldn't bury the penalty shot. Shesterkin got a little lucky. You could feel the momentum shift. And good teams don't worry about bad officiating. I know the officials have been bad. They're human too. The officials have been pretty bad. Inconsistent. We all know about that. Devils fans are still a little sensitive about the officiating. But that's not the reason why the Devils lost tonight. Sure, they probably shouldn't have blown the whistle during that goal mouth scramble, which Haula, conveniently put it in the net, even though everyone knew that the play was dead. And those are the kind of adversity that every team goes through. And the Devils have tomorrow to kind of address these issues because the Philadelphia Flyers are coming into town on Thursday. And you know that Tortorella has his team ready to play. And you're going to have to earn it against the Flyers, even though maybe they're not as talented. A lot of pundits have wrote them off, but they're still a tough team to play. It's a rivalry game. It's for the division. And the Devils better be ready. They better be ready to play and play well in front of the home fans on Thursday. Then you got the Florida Panthers the following Saturday. And so far, it's been a rough stretch for New Jersey. How will they respond? Felix says, I feel like Bratt needed to crash the net instead of lifting some backhanders into the stomach of the goalie. Well, yeah, I kind of agree with you on that last sequence there. If you go back to the replay where he made a good pass, I believe it was Dougie Hamilton towards the end there, had that shot on goal. And if you look at the replay, Jesper Bratt didn't crash the net. He kind of just was watching. And in the waning seconds or minutes of the game, you've got to crash the net. There was a rebound. Scott Wedgewood made a great save, but he left a juicy rebound. Nobody was there. And the puck went down the ice for a Dallas Stars insurance empty net goal. You got to go to the Nets. If you want to talk about analytics, they talk about the high danger area. We've talked about the no fun zone. If you want to have success in the NHL, you have to establish a presence in the slot area. And that is how championships are won, how games are won. Max says, Sam, I feel like the team is afraid to park in front of the net except Wood and Bastian. But too bad Bastian's not on the team. And I would agree. Devils players are scared to get hit, says Ramona Rice. We've talked about it for a long time now. We talked about the beefalytics. Oh, my goodness. Great example, David Clarkson, says Max. They need gritty guys. They need guys to go up front. And you know what? The bottom six forwards, I think Andreas Johnson is not the answer. I think he's a stopgap. I truly believe there may be a trade in the works at some point. There, if you've seen the rumors. Now, again, these are rumors that I've read, not that I'm saying that they're going to happen. But, you know, the whole thing about Patrick Kane, you know, that was rumored on HockeyBuzz.com. I know Vinny wrote a piece about it, but Vinny's piece was more of where Patrick Kane will go with the 31 other NHL teams aside from the Chicago Blackhawks. But right now, the Devils need to, well, I think what got exposed after Nathan Bastian's injury was the bottom six forwards. There's not much depth there. The top six, not a problem. They withstood having Palat going down with an injury. But the bottom six, I think that's the weakest link. Does Boquist, does he belong with the New Jersey Devils? Does Boquist and who else? Alexander Holtz. Now, Alexander Holtz has, you know, more leeway in time. But right now, I'm not too impressed, to be honest. So Tom Fitzgerald has some decisions to make because the trade deadline is a couple months away, and he has to evaluate this team. Is he going to overplay his hand? Is he going to trade Severson away? Would you at this point? Saw it in the rumor. Felix says Severson is not good. But he does retain value for other teams. He definitely does. Steve Engel says I would keep a ball up. Well, yeah, I think you need to give Kevin Ball a chance. He just hasn't had much playing time with the Devils. Looking on the Facebook Live, I just want to say hello to Steve Tardis. Tony says cracks are showing. Tony is the guy that looks like Johnny Sack. If you want to compare photos, I showed my wife and a couple friends, and they look exactly alike. Yes, the Johnny Sack from Sopranos. But the Devils need some beef. Maybe it's not just line changes. Maybe it's personnel. Who stays and who goes? I understand the overall record is good for the Devils. They're in first place. But as what Scotty said on Devils After Dark last night, the Devils are getting exposed because the league is watching. And they're figuring out that the Devils still, their weakest link is that they don't play a physical game. And you see, you watched what the Dallas Stars did, the New York Rangers and the New York Islanders, the last 3 games, they were physical. They slowed the Devils in the neutral zone. They were clogging the passing lanes. They were making sure that the Devils didn't have a chance to put on the afterburners. That elite speed, because we know that with the Devils, if you can roll 4 lines and you've got that elite speed going for 60 minutes, they are an unstoppable team. But I think the word got out how to mitigate the Devils' speed and be disruptive in the neutral zone. Max says, think about the playoff physicality. We will be cooked. I think so. I mean, on paper, Dougie Hamilton looks big. Same with Ryan Graves, but you saw that hit Ryan Graves took. Shane Van Sickle says, did Andre Johnson even play tonight, Sam? Well, I think he ate up some ice time, but that's just about it. To be fair, that's his first game with the team in a very long time. Anthony LePena, I couldn't agree with you more. The Flyers are going to come out physical because that's just John Tortorella team. They're going to be wanting revenge for what the Devils did at the Wells Fargo Center last game. And I think the Devils need to toughen up a bit. And they're going to need to figure it out. The Art of Pimpin' says, I can feel the slide coming. Strap in and hold on tight. Well, we'll find out what this team is made of because we talked about this in preseason. They showed glimpses of brilliance last season. It's when they're not hot and when things go wrong, is this team going to falter and go on a 10 to 15 game losing streak? Now, the thought was when you have players like Brendan Smith, character players, Palat, Halla, will they be the leadership and personnel to help the Devils overcome that? I also want to make the point that I think there was an interesting article, I believe it was in the New York Times, about Damon Severson making some comments. And something about, I'll read an excerpt from this article. Trying to read it, but I'm getting interference from my cell phone being near my headset. But anyway, change does not seem an adequate enough word to explain the Devils' sudden metamorphosis from slug to soaring butterfly. They can play fast or faster than anyone in the league. That we do know, folks. Vastly different from the highly successful but often plotting defensive devils of lore. Now they expect to win, and that, for some longtime players, that has been the culture shock. Damon Severson, a defenseman drafted by New Jersey in 2012, said the Devils had weeded out, end quote, players whom he chose not to name, who were content to go out after a 5-1 loss and devour cheeseburgers and fries as nothing had happened. You know, I got to tell you, that's something I would do. It's a shot to your ego, Severson said of the bad years. You're a loser, you're not good, but the worst part about it was that we had some guys that didn't really care in previous years. It would be like, I know I'm not going to be here much longer, so I'm going to get my paycheck and hope we play well and then go home at night and everything is going to be hunky-dory. It was a really bad culture and mindset that way. It's nice to see that we've turned the page and brought in some better guys and get rid of the problems. But I got to forewarn you, it seems like the problems are starting to creep back up. How the Devils respond is going to be a testament to the improvements in their mindset and an improvement in the maturity of this young nucleus of Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier and amongst others in the organization. Will they be able, and ask yourself this question, will they be able to figure it out soon enough and stop the bleeding in the standings? Right now they're in great position. But as we all know, in the last 10 years, the Devils have shown us that they can slide and can't stop the bleeding. And we shall see if the leadership, the core leadership, and I'm talking about Jesper Bratt, Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, Dougie Hamilton. I would even put Severson in that category because he's probably the longest tenured Devil on the team. Will they be able to snap out of it? These old bad habits. Sleepwalking is what Scotty would say. I don't know. But this is why this 30-day challenge starting last Friday night against the Islanders, it's going to be a real telling sign where this team is going and what they're going to be doing. And it starts tomorrow in practice and Thursday night against the Flyers, 7 p.m. Eastern start. Reminder to go to American Whiskey, pregame, postgame, Game Day Live, Devils After Dark. Will be on the TV on Thursday. Saturday, going to try to make it out. Devils versus the Florida Panthers, 7:30 p.m. Eastern start. So there's going to be more drinking, all that stuff at American Whiskey. Also, just want to plug tomorrow on the State of the Fan address with Pucks and Pitchforks.com's editor-in-chief, Nick Villano. Who do we have? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. It's going to be a great podcast. Starting at 8:30 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, we have Shayna Goldman, good friend of the podcast favorite from The Athletic. Shayna Goldman will be on, and also we have David Wallstein of the New York Times as well. And we'll be talking Devils hockey tomorrow on the State of the Fan address. YouTube Live channel, Let's Go Devils. Facebook Live at Let's Go Devils Podcast. And you can find us on Twitter at Let's Go Devils Pod. And happy birthday to Ramona Rice. Her birthday is tomorrow. My goodness, what you put up there on the YouTube Live, I thought 69 Mega was spamming the YouTube Live chat. But want to thank all those tuning in, watching, going solo on Devils After Dark. I tried to be like Scotty, but I think I failed miserably. But I think Scotty would be proud of me. Yes, that's Scotty, a SiriusXM liquid metal, taking his dog, Winston, to the vet right now. Scotty's on the West Coast. They're probably heading back to his Beverly Hills Palacio Estates very soon. 4-1 Dallas. Dallas Stars tonight over the New Jersey Devils. Well, watch out for my blogs on hockeybuzz.com, and also I'm going to write a piece for pucksandpitchforks.com very soon. Yeah. Last call for any comments, questions, whatnot. Steve Tardis, he's been commenting in the Facebook Live, looking at the YouTube Live now. Alan Cosman says he doesn't always fill up the sheet like that, but he's a good player. Not sure who he's referring to. I'm assuming Ryan Graves. Yes. Yeah, 3 shots, 3 hits, and 4 blocks. Again, you still need these type of players. And this is where I think Tom Fitzgerald is going to need to address at some point as the team is vying for a playoff spot. The fans deserve it. The fans absolutely deserve it. Want to thank all those tuning in, dropping the podcast at midnight on your favorite podcast pages. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart app, Amazon Music Prime, Audible. We'll see you tomorrow on the State of the Fan Address, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Shayna Goldman and David Waldstein from the New York Times. You can even say that The Athletic is the New York Times. They own The Athletic now. I want to thank all the good folks at American Whiskey tuning in. Remember to tip your bartenders. Tip away. Till next time, let's go Devils.